Good afternoon, everybody. Bonjour. Goedemorgen. Okay, salam alaikum. Dumela. Thank you, colleagues, for being here. It's good to have all of you for our attire HUMA interdisciplinary seminar series. Today, we have the pleasure of hosting Ugochi Okengwu, who is associate professor in the computer science department, where she was also head of department, and she told me she stepped down just before coming. Very wise decision to make. She's here as visiting research fellow under the Carnegie Africa AI Ethics Initiative, which is supported by the Carnegie Corporation of New York, to whom we are grateful for this project, which hosts both doctoral, postdoctoral, junior research, and other visiting fellows, and also facilitates exchange and mobility and encounters with scholars from across the continent. Ugochi does work, and what really brings her here is the work that she's doing around artificial intelligence and other extended work on machine learning, and language modeling, and a host of other things. I met Ugochi when we were collaborating, or as a part of the how is it called, AI4D fellowship program with the Africa Center for Technology Studies, from where we've also had a number of different fellows, including Suzanne and Messi. And I think there's one other person, but he's not here, Diop, who was supposed to be here, and many others. I think it's one of the best programs, initiatives, because it covers over 22 different countries on the African continent, and people actually doing work on artificial intelligence. So we're looking forward to listening to Ugochi, who's done a lot of work within the agricultural sector or farming sector, depending on how you refer to it. But she's been working a lot with, I think in this country, in South Africa, they call it gardeners, but we call it farmers, because the concept of a garden, for those of us who come from West Africa and Central Africa, is very different. You know, a garden is where you go to plant tomatoes, you know, but a farm is something where you plant something outside. So garden is a place where you plant the thing that you got from the white man. A farm is a place where you plant, you know, the food that you eat every day, you know. So we are looking forward to Ugochi's presentation on ethical issues around agricultural technology and development. And then we're going to have a good discussion. Ugochi has been here for 1 month, which is a period that was cut short because she was supposed to be here for a 3-month period. But Pan-Africanism, especially on the African continent, is a difficult challenge, especially with crossing borders and applying for visas. So, but we hope that we will have the opportunity of engaging with her and having her sometime in the future. And this is a good start. We're going to listen to the talk and then engage her in a discussion. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for coming. The topic, ethical considerations in Africa. We know that AI has been transforming different sectors, so agriculture is not different globally. And in Africa, it offers a lot of potential by helping us do crop disease detection, yield prediction, climate risk monitoring. And looking at that, I would like us to just have a little brief explanation of what AI is, because the AI thing has become something else. Everybody is talking about AI. And these days, even on our phones, you can't do anything more than a few minutes, something will pop up. There's an AI tool for you to do this, do that. So it's becoming very nice, really. So it's a branch of computer science, and that focuses on helping machines make them capable to think like human beings on the same level of human intelligence. We know that humans are very intelligent. These few weeks I've been here, I've interacted with very intelligent people thinking, differently and wonderfully. So artificial intelligence is just trying to make machines think like human beings, to be able to perform tasks. And these tasks are things like reasoning, solving problems, perception, natural language processing, decision-making, and all the rest. So, and it also enables machines, these tasks enables, at the end of the day, will enable a machine to be able to analyze data, be able to dictate patterns in whatever data you see, whether video, audio, or textual, or numbers. So it's a very wonderful field, and a lot of people are interested. And we have categories of AI. Imagine all the wonderful things AI is doing so far. And it has been categorized under the narrow AI. And at times I wonder, when we leave the narrow one and go to the bigger one, how will it be? So all our ChatGPT, Google Translate, the Alexa, Tesla, Autopilot, they are all under narrow AI. And we have the general AI, which is still hypothetical. They said it's still going under research, whereby machine will have the same level of intelligence like human beings. A situation whereby maybe just looking at your system to tell you what you're thinking about, maybe you will get there. Then the one they talk about, which we don't know if we will get there, is the super intelligent AI, where these machines will now be more intelligent than the human beings. The intelligent that will now be, maybe we will start, when you say something and it will create it, we'll get there. So branches of AI, we have different branches. We have expert system, which was one of the wonderful branch of AI in those days, in the 2000s, whereby you engage a domain expert, get the knowledge, and be able to build a system that can work when the person is not there. It was mainly used in medical sector. Then we also have what we call the physiologic. Some of you that have very nice machine, washing machines that can detect which kind of cloth you have inside there, which kind of water, whether warm, mildly warm water that can be used, is under physiologic, where you don't have just true or false binary solution. You have different stages of stages of solution you can get to. Machine learning, which really made AI very, very famous, which made AI, everybody is interested because it has to do with making the machine learn from previous data, and if possible, real-time data, make decisions from this enormous number of data and be able to say this, that. So that's, and then we have what we call the ANN, artificial neural networks. Those people in medical sector know how our brains are wired. This idea was gotten from there, and it helps us in so many, like pattern recognition. You'll be able to do forecasting, language translation, and all the rest. Then we have the deep learning. The deep learning is a subset of artificial neural network, and is also an aspect of machine learning. But in deep learning, you have different stages, level, number of hidden layers, because for ANN, you have input, hidden layer, and then the output layer. But for deep learning, you have different levels of hidden layers, and that's why it is very good for image recognition. Most people that build AI tools for image recognition use what we call the deep learning. Then the natural language processing, which has made the large language model come to us, which has given us the boom of ChatGPT and all the rest of them, is making our lives a little bit easier, is another branch for translation tools, sentiment analysis, a lot go on there. Then we have computer vision. Computer vision is the branch that made the computer to see. And it will be able to do facial recognition, medical imaging, and all the rest. Then robotics, which is the last one I'll talk about in the branch. I'm sure in the next few years, we'll have more branches, because as long as AI is concerned, it keeps evolving and new things keep coming up. And it combines both the computer science and mechanical engineering put together to be able to build robots and all that we know robots do. So why Africa? Why are we looking at Africa when we talk about AI ethics around agriculture? We know that in Africa, food production is done by our smallholder farmers. Over 60% of the food they produce, we eat, come from them. And also in Africa, we have our climate change and food insecurity, high vulnerability. Most times it comes to us, we don't know what to do. When you go to the field, you know that these farmers are suffering. They don't know when it will rain heavily, at times flood and all that. That year, that family or that particular community will not eat. Then digital divide. We know it is very, very obvious around us that not everybody have access to our smart devices. Not everybody have access to our internet facilities. So it's an issue. So this is why AI potential here is both urgent and transformative. And it needs to be tailored to Africa's reality. That is why we're talking about it. And looking at that, let's look at what is AI ethical principles. Some of the principles that most of you must have been discussing, you've heard about it. We know about transparency. We're advocating that if you are building an AI tool, whether it's for agriculture or for any sector, let it be transparent. Let it be something the stakeholder, whether it's a farmer or a medical doctor, can understand and explain. Why, if it's in financial sector, why was that loan rejected? There should be an explanation. Let's not dwell in the black box thing, everything about AI, any result you see, you take it. So it has to be transparent. Safety, security should be paramount. Data protection, especially in health. Data protection is very, very important. And safety, security. If I'm driving an automated car that is being auto-driven, if something goes wrong, there should be some safety measures that will tell me what to do when this happens, when that happens. So it is very important. Individual privacy ensures secure handling of data, fairness and non-discrimination. This is very, very key for us, we Africans. We see tools, they just come, you start using it, you don't understand how was it built? What was the idea behind this? Will it further discriminate us or bring us together? AI must treat all individuals fairly and avoid perpetuating the bias we know that they exist around us. Accountability and sustainability. Who is accountable? Is it the AI developers, the organization, or the users when something goes wrong? So there should be somebody that you say you are accountable when this happens. That means there should be things like model cards attached to these tools that we will need to see You need to read to understand before you use them. Somebody used to say, if you want to cheat a black man, write it, because most times we don't read. When they say, tick this, when maybe you go to a site, they say the policy. Me, most times I don't read, I just tick. You don't know if you have ticked away how many years investment. So we need to be more intentional. Inclusiveness. AI should be accessible and beneficial to all communities, including the marginalized communities, the disabled. When you're designing a tool, it should be at the back of your mind. Who are going to use it? Will the tool go out there and some people won't be able to use it? Governance and regulation, there should be framework, standard laws and regulations to guide AI deployment and usage. Finally, the beneficence, human centricity and well-being. It was mentioned in the event we went for. AI should aim to do good, not to displace people from their job. AI should be, when you're designing the product, what is it going to be like at the end of the day? When the farmers use it, will still all their wives, if it's a man with many wives, will all his wives still be involved in the farming, or will he displace some people? Those are some of the things we need to think about. So having said that, let's look at the key AI ethical issues around agriculture in Africa, because what we mentioned was the general one. For Africa, data ownership and privacy is very important. Who controls the agricultural and climate data generated and how is it used? Most times when we go online, we see a lot of data sets that we use to do so many things. Like me in my school, a lot of master's students, they will just go plant village, they will use it. They will develop these tools that look very good, impactful, but who owns it? How was it generated? Those are some of the questions. Bias and representation. AI data sets are often developed outside Africa. Like the plant village I mentioned is developed by Penn State University, not in Africa. Raising the risk of misrepresentation of African realities. We have our realities. We are peculiar people, we're unique. There are things about us that you can't just generalize. So when you're building these tools that are becoming so much coming into our lives these days, you just sit and AI tools are everywhere. So those developing it have to, take their time and incorporate us into it. Gender inequality. Women make up the large portion of Africa's farmers. We know that. But outside Africa, it's not a woman thing. But in Africa, it's a woman thing. And yet, we often face the barriers to accessing digital tools and even land. Like me, from my village, nobody will give me land unless if I buy. Yes, but all my brothers, they all have big portions given to them. So those are some of the issues. Accountability when AI fails, we have mentioned that before. So there should be somebody, when the farmers their livelihoods are harmed, who will pay the compensation? Because he or she is using the AI tool. Environmental costs. We've heard of climate change, and we've realized that AI tools are contributing to this. So AI requires significant energy and computing power, raising concerns about sustainability in regions already struggling with energy access, just like Africa. We know, I was telling my son the other day that since I came to Cape Town, no light failure. And they keep telling me they've taken light. That is the reality. That is where we come from. So when you're developing these tools, think around these things until the situations improve. These tools should be able to address what we have on ground. So due to this particular HUMA project, I decided to look at some of these data sets we have online, some of them, and we realized that some of them have ethical issues. Like the plant village I just mentioned has bias issue. It's a widely used set of data set for crop disease detection. But because most images are collected under the lab conditions, the data set might not reflect the realities of Africa. Because an African farmer will snap, if you endeavor to give him or her a smart device, will snap whatever in his farm and try to use that tool you have deployed. Will it represent the same thing? So if you check Plant Village, that's one thing about it. We also have the first start. Equity is also an issue, provides critical production at a global or national scale, potentially overlooking the local farmers, raising equity issues and concerns. When some of these things are done globally, it's an issue, because when it comes down, the reality is different. Then we have the SIGIA ownership, as we have mentioned before, data on soil crops. Who owns it? Who is accountable? Who is gathering it? Who is making sure that this data set that is collected will not fall into wrong hands? Then we also have the Afrobarometer. This is about trust, because they normally use it to determine what is being said to which farmer, which farmer receives which funding or resources. Are they representing correctly what we have? So I decided to look at the plant village. I used this particular data set during a project which Professor Divine mentioned. And I noticed that there's class imbalance in the data set, consistent background color. And that informed what we noticed when we went to the farmers to really use the app. But we had to devise a means and had to train them on another way of using the tool so that they will be able to use it, you know. And we realized a lot of, you know, skewed, the data is skewed. You can see USA, you can see Nigeria, Ghana, the number of data sets collected. So if you make a generalization and say this is what you have seen, the insights of the data, you will be giving wrong information. So these are some of the things. So, and fortunately, there's a tool, Plant Village Neuro app, that has been developed with this particular data set. And a lot of people are using it just like that. You know how AI tools, every day it keeps coming out. People are developing here. And as we're talking now, a lot of people are behind their system developing tools. And it has become a lot easier because we now have what we call the auto ML platforms. You don't need to know how to code to develop an AI tool. All you need to know is to know the process, and you can deploy. So it has become everybody's deal. So what is happening? What can we do to make sure that these things that come out represent us properly? So we also looked at the FOSTAT data set, and we can also see a lot of missing data. You can see Ethiopia has a lot of missing data. Nigeria, my wonderful country, also has one. So everybody has. And if you want to make an assumption, based on this data set, without some pre-processing activities that will represent or nearly represent what is on ground, you'll be giving wrong information. And also there's a tool that is already developed and being used for that. Then just like Prof said, during this particular project, looking at these data sets, I now realize why we had issues developing the tomato leaf disease AI tool we did during the project he mentioned. Because when we developed the tool, the data set we collected on site, we couldn't use it because we had a lot of irregularities. So we later went back to use that of Plant Village. So when we got there, the model, as we do our evaluation, it was wonderful. But getting there, we realized that when we snap, it was not giving us what we expected. So from the explanation I gave earlier, we can see that was the reason. And this project was funded by IDRC, CIDA, managed by ACTS for AI4D Africa. This was the logo of the mobile app we developed to be able to detect 9 different tomato leaf diseases. And if you have listened to a musician called Flavor, I'm sure most of you know him. Yes, he sang a song where he was explaining his beautiful woman. He called him Tomato Juice. So, and that means from Juice, you will get wonderful produce of tomato. And that is why we went to Juice to deploy our tomato leaf disease. And we engaged the farmers and we were able to show them how to use it. Now, another thing I would like to mention here is that the funders made us to understand before we went to the field. We went through what we call the responsible AI training and informed what we added to the tool. Because before, all we were interested in just get this tool done, deploy the farmers will use it. So looking at all the things that we saw in the ethical principles, we decided to get into this thing. We had a registration platform, but we made it optional because you will meet a farmer that he or she doesn't want you to know his name or her name. He doesn't know what you want to do with it. So why will I register who are you? I don't know you. You're coming from where? So we made it optional. You can skip it or you can re-register. So you can be an anonymous user. It's possible with the tool. So with that, we were able to get through to the farmers. Now, look at this particular leaf. On a normal day, a farmer will not just snap the leaf like this, but this is the type that worked with our tool. Why? If you just snap it on the tomato plant and it won't work. We had to bring out the leaf you suspect that has the disease and place it on a platform that is like what we trained the model with. You see, the lab controlled data sets. So you have to get it, or you get a carton, a brown carton, put it behind the leaf and snap. That is where you can. But it detects perfectly well. It was detecting all the different tomato leaf diseases we specified. So with that, you submit, and it will now tell you the particular tomato. Then still, due to the responsible AI training we had to bring in multi-language platform, because that place is dominated by Hausas. So we had to put English and Hausa. So if you have the option to choose one. So this person chose Hausa, and you can see the explanation, what it is in Hausa. Then you also have somebody that chose in English. Then we also went further to give you some tips. If you dictate this, you start with this before, so that your crops, all of them will not be infected before you get help somewhere. So then we also had a feedback link. So these are some of the things we added because we were trained to be able to add those things. If not, we would have just deploy and move on, as long as the farmers are using those tools. So with that, we were able to get response from farmers, and we had almost up to 108 of them, and the response was good. But also look at this. You can see distribution of respondents by gender. The females were not much. It was mainly male. The people that have smartphones that can snap. So that means next time if we are going there, we need to look for a way to get those devices if we want everybody to be included. So those are some of. So most of our African countries have this AI policy launched. My country, Nigeria, launched theirs last year, August 2024. But the issue is not, because almost all our countries, some of them are still on. Those that have not launched, they are on the process. But the question is, how is it enforced? How is it enforced? That to make sure that before I deploy an AI tool for farmers, there should be a check and balance of all these things. Are they included? Who would do that? So coming here and spending a few weeks with you people, I've learned a word called epistemology. So I decided to look at epistemic bias and epistemic justice in the area of what we're talking about. And I saw the meaning as how knowledge is valued and represented, bias, and the justice is fair representation of diverse knowledge systems. So looking at the farmers and what we are saying, West-centric data and viewpoints dominate. That is the fact. So how can we solve it? Inclusive data set with African perspectives. We can't say this enough, but we need to start. We need to start. So that when it's time to deploy this, a lot of researchers want open access data sets that they can use, our students that don't have the money, because to get these data sets, categorize them, there's a lot of process. For you to be able to say that this kind of picture on a tomato leaf is virus, is bacteria, you have to do some lab work, which will cost some good money. So we need to invest. So we also look at local knowledge systems undervalued. Respect for indigenous knowledge is very important. Looking at that, we found out when we went to deploy this, that these farmers, they want something different from what we brought. We found out because they are smallholder farmers, one person is not planting only tomatoes. One person is planting cucumber, is planting cabbage, is planting this. So he needs, if you want him to rely on your tool, you need to add those vegetable crops. You need to add like 4 or 5 in one app so that it will be useful for him. Not when he checks his tomato, the next thing he's checking his cucumber, he can't find a tool for it. So indigenous knowledge is very important when you're. So with the little research we've done, we try to look at ethical AI framework that can work for farmers in Africa. Data acquisition, that's the first thing. Collect relevant local content-based data, data preparation, clean, anonymize, and reduce bias in data sets as much as you can. But most times it's not very good, but it's something you have to do to make sure it balances so that the tool you're developing, everybody is fairly represented. Model development, build explainable, fair, and inclusive AI models. We're also thinking of the app to be able to add audio for somebody that cannot see. Can that kind of person use your AI tool? How inclusive is it? Governance and use. We can apply AI responsible set policies. We have the policies. You saw all the countries. Almost everybody have. But are they being implemented? Are they being applied? Monitoring and feedback is very important so that you hear from them, know what they want, know what you can add newly. So for me, it's a teamwork. It's not a, and with what I've learned here, we should start thinking about decolonizing AI process. It's very important so that it will follow the framework we have just mentioned. So every developer of AI tool will first of all become an anthropologist. Because from what I learned, anthropologists will go and understand what is happening in an environment without interfering, understand what they need, understand their needs before you can start building these tools. So you have to, it has given me a very great insight. So recommendation, build inclusive data sets, apply ethical audits, strengthen African AI governance. Like, I was surprised when I came here, I was hearing of Ubuntu. Ubuntu is something we hear. I didn't know it originated from South Africa. So let's align with our AI, African Union digital strategy and local values like the Ubuntu. It's very important. And ensure farmers share in the benefits. Let it not just be the big farmers, because if we want all farmers to share in the benefit, it will affect Africa, because Africans, most of our farmers are not big agri-business farmers. They are smallholder farmers. So
thank you, Ugochi, for a very rich and also empirically grounded, work that's also in the intersection between deep computer science and also agriculture and also social sciences. And we always say it's humanities people are not very good at explaining their work, discussing their work to other people. So it's always good in this space when colleagues from outside, especially in the technological sciences, actually have their work, and also in a way that allows people in the humanities to engage with it. And we appreciate it. We don't take it for granted, and we look forward to engaging with it. Questions?
I have one question.
Yes. So first the hand. There is. Let's. Yeah. So yes, Patil. There is Amina. There is yes, Umi. Wow, Susan, Zari, Abena. She put her hand earlier before everyone. And who else? Oh, Axel. And who else? Oh, Minga. Okay. All right. Okay. So we're going to start with Matthias.
So thank you for the beautiful presentation. My question is about if you actually work in an app to apply this kind of decolonial approach to technological AI development.
Okay, we're writing. He's asking, do you apply a decolonial approach to technological development?
Okay.
That's how I understood it. Yes, and then we're going to go to Abuna. I heard that Chahan was first. Sorry. Sorry, people.
Yes.
And you did make a statement at the last that all AI developers somehow have to be anthropologists. But it's also got me thinking, we can't, as an anthropologist, can't be AI developers, but can we collaborate? Because you raised the issue of bias representation. My question was, is it about the intention, or is it about, when we talk about bias representation, are we talking about the intention or the context or the developer? And I asked this because we had the program on Monday, and it was interesting that we found most of our colleagues who are in the sciences not knowing some of the issues that we discussed here, and there seems to be a disconnect. So you could have an African developing something here, and then it might not be a decolonial project or something think that might be at all. So when we talk about bias representation, context should be context, the developer or the product.
Okay, just to note it down, and also to note that many of our colleagues also thought that we don't know a lot about. So just like also to note the vice versa.
Yes.
That they were also very shocked that we don't know a lot. So I'm going to Amina.
Did it only work for one cycle, or is it still running? What kind of iterations are you doing, and how are you maintaining it?
Thank you so much for that question.
Okay, I think we're going to go with these three for now.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. The colonial approach to technological development. Well, for me, that's what we are advocating. But that doesn't mean, I just mentioned to you that during the project, we had a training, responsible AI training, that informed us, changed our perspective, and it made us add a lot of functionalities to the tool that wouldn't have been there before. So I feel what needs to be done, apart from developing these policies, is to have a sort of a body that can enforce some of these policies, so that if you're developing an AI tool, it has to be approved. Before you take it out there for people to use, there should be a body to approve. Until we get that, people will just be developing and sending out. So I hope I understand the decolonial. So for me, I feel if we can do that, I think the decolonization will start. Then we have Abina's question: collaboration, bias, intentional contest, developer, and all that. Definitely, there has to be collaboration. I didn't say all. For us to develop this tool, we had to, initially we engaged a virologist. I don't know anything about it. So he made me understand that we'll go to the field, pick these leaves, snap them, take them to the lab. There are some chemicals you need to do to say this belongs in this category. So if you see this leaf with these symptoms, it is this. So you have to collaborate. For you to be developing AI tools, it's just in health. You get health data, you have health images. Can you explain it? No, you need a domain expert, somebody that has expertise in that field. Collaborate. That is when you bring out a good tool that will impact and have the aspect of AI for good we talk about. Then the last one, this tool was brought down early this year because of, it's one of the issues. This project started in 2022, and when we deployed it, it was online. You pay for there's a lot involved. You pay for it on the cloud. You also pay to get a domain name, and these things are serviced yearly. They sent me emails severally that they're going to put it down, but at that point, I didn't have much to do. But my intention is, we have also applied to scale the product. I just pray we'll be able to get that funding to be able to have more vegetables involved, so that the farmers will be more comfortable. And also, we have also applied so that we can add the audio aspect of it and all that. And also funding that can help us keep the tool for a long time. Another problem we had, we couldn't commercialize it because it was funded And we didn't get the permission from the funders to commercialize it. And also you think about it, if you commercialize it, we've seen the farmers. Are you sure they will be able to pay? How much will you say somebody, why would the person use your tool if he's going to pay? We are still trying to penetrate into them to start using some of these tools. So that's the situation for now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're going to go to Omi.
Trying to ensure that agriculture knowledge and in terms of traditional forecasting, for example, or the one climate change from category that we don't have evidence from it. Research will do this. That's why it's really interesting to say that data science need to work maybe with anthropologists, but some anthropologists code also, and I learned coding. It was really not good for me, but the way we have evidence from local knowledge of forecasting early one climate change from category. How do you see people, researchers involved in this area? And I'm also wondering about the data set you need, because it's really huge. And most of the time, this kind of knowledge, you know, that the current evidence it's not related to use statistical data. Wondering, you know, about the business model you have on it. The second question is about transparency concerns. You just point about the need of explainability, and more I hear about, you know, in the business sector, the issue of no disclosure. That is a section in manufacturing. So I'm really, I'm scared that what we have in vaccine sector, in my industrial, you know, vaccine, and we have it also for AI, and they need to explain really what's going on when we make an auditing. So I need to know if you have such information.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yes.
Suzanne? Okay.
Thank you for I'm sure we'll have more interactions.
Definitely.
There's a lot that we relate in terms of the work. But I wanted some clarity on that. I heard you mention the class imbalance. I heard you mention the class imbalance. And I was wondering, is it historical data that you are dealing with or anything? Because if it's historical data, and it means that the variation could be maybe due to other factors. And students don't like, and if you're talking about classes, it means there's classification being done. My second question, or promoting the question, the suggestion. I heard you mention issues to be the mobile phone, and it means that picking the data is cumbersome. Could you consider using tools like NDVI and different vegetation index, which detect cropping early, and they also monitor over time? It's a little dispatching tool that can be included in your model and can help instead of, you know, going snappy.
Okay, we're going to go to Zari.
Yeah, but like an AS question policies, it's very hard to enforce them. And so I'm curious, what is like the state's objective in a way was like digital literacy, and what's the end goal for these farmers? I guess is the purpose that they then have a better means of mitigating these diseases, these crop diseases, or is it sort of that you develop these kind of crops that are resistant to disease, which sometimes can lead to like monocrop scenarios in which farmers are then given specific seeds to plant so that that content is for other ethical commitments and such. So I'm curious if there's some kind of like ideal end outcome exactly, like maybe a little bit of explanation of the food systems in place and then how that intersects with and then the framework around there.
Axel?
Thank you. For bringing us an example of the micro implementation of AI in something in the day-to-day life. And the thing I really liked is that you are trying to bring a non-statistical form, a study of non-statistical form of uncertainty. And that is useful because it's could help to create a market. But you said, responding to, I think it was to Wabena or to Amina, that the market creation, the market to commercialize, you will sell to
The farmers.
To the farmers. Maybe the market is the buyers, so that you provide the farmer with the tool and technology that can improve the product, so that the consumer knows that the product is a good quality. I don't know. This is
Yeah.
what you.
Okay, last from Inga.
I'm sick of strips, and when you spoke about ethics, should be careful to teach something you don't understand. Here, I think you are raising the issue of literacy.
Yes.
Okay, so now my question is on the perceptions of farmers or their relationships with AI. I just want you to elaborate a little bit on that. Do you come up across some kind of like that relationship? Because it's quite important for farmers to understand this AI, and I like the way you actually took us through the definition of AI, what AI is, but if you can elaborate a little bit.
Great, Ugochi.
Yeah.
You can decide whether you can just say, this is great, I will engage you further, or pick a few and address,
Yeah.
or just say thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. So for business Omni, the business transparency, concern, explainability. Yes, there was a presentation I listened to here where somebody said the AI cannot be global. Apart from region, ethnicity, it has to deal with fields too. Apart from the general AI ethics, when it comes to a particular field, depending on what you're developing for, will determine the extent you will go. For example, like the medical sector you mentioned, you can explain to somebody when he dictates that or predicts that it's going to have cancer. You can explain because the tool saw this, saw that. There's a limit. I'm sure even medical doctors, when they're talking to you, they have a limit of what they will tell you as long as your e-health is concerned. So when it also comes to agriculture, when you are explaining in your tool what made this become this. You should also explain to the extent the farmer will understand. You're dictating a particular category of disease because this is how that leaf is. Because it is yellowish, that is why it is. You can stop there. That is explaining. It's not that you're going to tell the farmer the name of the AI algorithm that was used. He won't understand that. So it depends on, I gave an example about loans. Most times when people go for loan, they are rejected or accepted. It should be, the tool should say, okay, you were rejected because you, not just you are rejected and that is it. Nobody, because it's a tool, it's not a human being. Like when you have somebody and that person is dejected, he was wondering, why was I refused? So that's the explainability, understandable I'm talking about. Then you also mentioned something, I don't know if I've finished answering your question. Yes, thank you. Then Susan, the planned village class imbalance. I did a little analysis on the data set. And I realized that why our tool didn't work immediately as we went to the farmers was because of the color of the background of that was used in getting those data in that place. And we just went ahead, used it. You know, when it comes to machine learning or deep learning, it learns from what it sees. And it's what it has seen that it can dictate. For now, we're still in the narrow AI, remember? But not going where a human being can decide, okay, due to your own intelligence, you can say it should be this. So for the geospatial data you mentioned, wonderful, it will be a wonderful idea. I will interact with you if you can do that. But also, when it comes to this geospatial satellite data, we're also careful who owns it. Does it really represent the local realities? So those are some of the things we need to look at. Those are also some of the ethical issues. Find a lot of satellite moving around, picking data here and there. But does it really represent what is on ground? Those are some of the questions. I just had interaction with the HCI lab that Professor Divine introduced me to. What they do there, they try to see co-design when it comes to AI. They try to go to the community to really get to know how they see AI and how the tools can be produced for them for it to be good for them. And at times when you get there, you see that what you see on ground is different from what you see from some of these data that are being picked here. So we can try it. All right. So for state governance, you know, in our different professionals, we have professional bodies that try to, some people at times, they say they remove the registration right from, because the person misbehaved. If we can get that in place in this AI tool thing, because it's everywhere, everybody's developing. And when I was discussing with Omni last night, I told, was it last night or the other morning? I don't know if we can remember when the founder, somebody they called, the man they called the AI father in Google resigned. Geoffrey Hinton. So he just resigned, and he resigned immediately. OpenAI released ChatGPT because he knew that it was over. There was no need. For me, that's the way I interpreted his resignation, because at that point, no more check and balances. Anything can go. You can just develop what people were using before to say, okay, you're not a developer, you cannot write code. You can stay in your house and write codes using these GPTs and it will run. It's just if you know how to put them together. So those are some of these. So what we need is policies, possible professional bodies that can be enforced using our government systems to say, before you develop AI tool, you must pass through this. There must be a certification given to you to certify that you're developing something that is transparent, explainable, fair, inclusive. I think that is the way we'll keep talking until it happens. Then we have farmers. Yes, so my friends, you mentioned that farmers are not the market. The tool we develop, the farmers are our market. Because it's not the tomato buyers that use the tool. The people that use the tool are the farmers. The buyer, you want to eat tomato, what do you need to dictate if the leaf has disease on it? It's none of it. So the market is the farmers. So they are the ones that can use it, and they are the ones that can reuse it. So the last one, perception of farmers and relationship of AI. Yes. I showed where we did a little training for the farmers that we later went to their farms. AI is being perceived by people that are not literate as something that is coming to take over their jobs, which we know. But you also need to make them understand that it's not coming to take over the job, rather it's coming to enhance your capability, make your work easier. Because normally before they can dictate some of this, but at times they might not be able to categorize properly. And they might just use anything to see how they can take care, ameliorate, mitigate. But with this tool, if you show them and make them, they start seeing that with this tool, I won't make mistake of using the product for virus. I won't use it for bacteria because I was able to categorize using this tool faster, quicker, and more accurate. So we keep advocating. It's not the farmers we see, the real farmers are not yet there. As long as African context is concerned, you don't meet farmers that are in greenhouses or controlled environment where their crops are looking wonderful. You meet farmers that are inside the bush trying to make ends meet. So we first of all talk to them before we deploy. I don't know if I've answered it.
Okay. Everybody satisfied? Okay. Thank